are live as, of course, my camera decides to not focus. Bear with me, everybody, as I try to troubleshoot this, and then we'll get on with the show. Happy to have you all here first watching live and on replay as we're breaking down the latest matchup between the Mets and the Reds. Everything that you need to know before today's game start. My favorite picks of the day in the sports betting world, thanks to our amazing sponsor at BetUS and everything in between. Make sure to smash that like and subscribe button on your way in. Really does mean a lot. But let me get my camera fixed, and then we'll go further here in the show. Let's see. That's if I can get this camera fixed. Hold on, everybody. Bear with me 1 second as I, again, try to troubleshoot this. Of course, it's even worse. All right, this is what we're going to actually do. Give me 1 second, everybody. I apologize. I know that this is not ideal to start a show this way, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do, right? Okay, let's see here. HD webcam. Correct that one on. Okay, we'll go with that one. That's fine. Again, nothing fancy. A little messy setup behind me, but we're going to make it work. I might be slightly delayed too in how it comes off from my mouth at least, but we're going to continue. Everybody watching live on a replay, whether it's on YouTube or on Twitter, please let me know how everything looks and sounds. It's okay if I'm slightly delayed. I realize that's something I might have to deal with throughout the show today, given the fact that we're on the road for this one, but I still want to make sure that everything is running properly for the most part. So to everyone first chiming in, how you doing? Happy to have you in here. I see Shake, LGM, I see PB, Let's Go Mets, absolutely great member. David, Shake, Yoshima, great member. Enrique, how you doing? PB says better. Okay, sounds great. Let's see. David, all you guys and gals, Roy, really does mean a lot. People watch you on Twitter too. Make sure to hit that like, that follow button, that retweet button, and make sure you're subscribed here on the WardyNYM YouTube channel. We're less than 100 subs away from our big giveaway at 25K subs, so help us get in on the action with that one too. Really does mean a lot. But now let's break down again what do you guys need to know from today's matchup between the Reds and the Metropolitans is what we're about to get into. Oh, you're too kind, Enrique. Thank you so much, my friend. That really does mean a lot. Let me get this thing rolling again. Bear with me, everybody, as I'm still getting everything situated. I realize the game today is right around 4:10, so the show will probably go up till right around that time, if not a little before. And normally pregame shows are things I like to do at minimum an hour, if not more, earlier prior to the show. That way there's at least a little shelf life for people on replay, but how to do today? I see Thomas is in here feeling pessimistic as always. He's either not a Mets fan and just a schmuck in the chat, or he's a Mets fan and still feels that his team sucks. And granted, 2-5 start is not the most ideal start. I can understand that to a degree, absolutely. But let's get into this one now, everybody. I appreciate everyone. Colin in here as well. E. McD, everyone that watches this on replay, the select few. Folks, we saw the Metropolitans leg out a win yesterday in somewhat dramatic fashion by a final score of 3-2. It was headlined by guys like Edwin Diaz, again, having a little bit of a shaky save, but still getting the job done, thankfully. We saw Brett Beatty look tremendous both offensively and defensively, again, that I emphasized plenty in my post-game show last night. And then we also had other things, whether it was Francisco Lindor driving in a run on an RBI sac fly, right? We were able to see some production. Jeff McNeil, more like Jeff McBomb. The Mets, again, had far from the prettiest game. They only had 4 hits and scored 3 runs out of those 4 hits, to the Reds having 7 hits and only scoring 2. So not sustainable by any stretch, but still a win is a win for this Metropolitan team. And as we take a look at the lineups today, everybody, I got to ask you straight up to all my live viewers watching live here and also on Twitter, is this a yay or a nay lineup for you for the Metropolitans? As we see, the Reds are the following: Jonathan India batting leadoff, the Met killer who grew up a diehard Mets fan himself. Will Benson, the youngster there in center field. Christian Encarnacion Strand there that we see at first base. Jamer Candelario that we see at the hot corner coming off of that $3 or $45 million signing this offseason in Cincy. Jake Fraley there, who struck out bad against Edwin Diaz, which was awesome yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. He's in right field. Ellie De La Cruz, the electrifying young man, is batting sixth, and at shortstop. 7th is Spencer Steer, who's such an underrated young talent there in Cincy with a 1,300 OPS so far this season. Took Jose Quintana deep yesterday. He's batting 7th in left field. Then we see Nick Martini at DH with over 1,000 OPS so far this season, and Tyler Stevenson at the backstop position that we see there. Yes, I did see the video about John Boy and the double play woes. And as long as you guys and gals remind me, I will touch on that before the conclusion of today's show, because I know I've had a lot of people ask me about that. I took the time to watch, and I have some things to say about it. Not too much, just kind of like, well, this needs to change. Some of the film was definitely old under previous regimes. It's not something I expect to stay at the magnitude that's been with the Mets just not breaking up double plays, but it was a fascinating breakdown by John Boy that we will discuss a little bit later here in the show with you all. And again, I appreciate everyone chiming in. Bobby G, great member, how you doing? Daniel, how you doing, everybody? But let me know, do you have a yay or a nay for the Metropolitan lineup today? Francisco Alvarez is going to be getting the start tomorrow, not today. Omar Narvaez is going to get at least one start in this series, unfortunately, because that's what happens when you need to give your backstop a rest, even with him DHing in certain days too. So Alvarez, who's going to be facing a lefty tomorrow instead of facing the righty Nick Martinez today, he can come in a pinch hit, of course, if need be. But the Mets lineup currently is the following. Batting leadoff, we have, yes, Brandon Nimmo back from his one-day stint of being basically injured with a hamstring injury. He's back in the lineup. He has a 334 OPS to kick off the season. Not ideal. Brandon, when he's not getting on base, has not hit so far this season. Hopefully that starts soon. Then we see Francisco Lindor, who I have a lot to say about, actually, because Francisco Lindor, folks, is looking like he might get a standing ovation next time he's at Citi Field. So, in case you're unaware, a quick backstory. Francisco Lindor's wife is very vocal on social media. She does not hold back when people go out of their way to message her privately on Instagram or whatever and say the most malicious things to him, his family, their children, which is the most asinine thing imaginable. And because of Lindor's slump, we have the worst people imaginable going out of their way to make burner accounts and say the most horrendous things to them. And it blew up. It's been called out rightfully so. No one, and I mean no one, deserves to have their family targeted any stretch which way. Imagine it doesn't matter. It should never happen, regardless on how good or bad you're performing. Anthony Rendon, I think, is one of the biggest schmucks in Major League Baseball. Do I wish bad on him or his family? Of course not. This is a game. This is a child's game at the end of the day. Yet we have literal children, yet at the same time, these are full-grown men going out of their way to say some of the most malicious things imaginable. So in response to this, and in response to Lindor's slump this season, we have had fans, shout out to Diamond Tales and others on Twitter, have been really proposing this, that Francisco Lindor, instead of being booed when he's back at Citi Field, uplift him, hype him up, give him something to get excited about. Even with the $300+ million contract, we saw how well it worked for Trey Turner last year. Why not try it with Lindor? Steve Cohen saw this tweet. He replied he thinks it's a great idea. So, folks, if you haven't thought about it already, start thinking about it now. Next time you're at Citi Field, especially if it's the next Mets home game, make sure you're giving a nice standing O for Francisco Lindor. Again, he does not deserve the target that has been coming his way whatsoever. Yes, he has not performed well, but that does not warrant the type of responses we've seen from some of you fans who are truly the scum of the earth that I wish nothing but the worst for. Those are the only people that I could truly care less what happens, because if you're going to go out of your way to say those things, karma's a bitch and it's going to catch up to you. So Lindor, I hope he gets a standing O. I hope this helps him. I hope it helps the mentality a little bit. And seriously, why not? Right? You have nothing to lose, us Mets fans. We are the one fan base that goes after our own team probably more than any other fan base in baseball. And for the people that have targeted Lindor since day one, even when he's done everything he's done with the Mets at this point, you too should be going out of your way to do those little things, because again, if it can positively impact the team, why not give it a try? That is my counter to anyone that says, I rather boo. Okay, if you're going to boo, just don't be surprised if players have a negative mindset get in their head and then have continued struggles where you're going to boo more. It's almost like trying to uplift a player is never a bad thing. Certainly is not a bad thing here, especially in the circumstances here with Francisco. So that is what I want to relay the message to each and every one of you, regardless on if you love him, if you're not a huge fan of Lindor, it doesn't matter. No one should be treated in the way that him and his family have been targeted over the past couple months, really, again, since the season start. And truthfully, this is a situation where why not take advantage while you can? Shout out to Darren, shout out to Eric, great members here in the live chat as always. Really appreciate you guys chiming in. People watching this again live, hit that like and subscribe on. Help us get to, if we could get to north of 100 likes by the end of the live show, would really mean a lot. No worries if not. People watching on Twitter, hit that like, hit that follow button, retweet. Really does mean a lot too. But now you're right. We can try cheering, see if that works. That's what I mean. If you cheer and Lindor's struggles continue for a while, then we could say it didn't work. But we've seen it not only with guys like Trey Turner, we've seen with Alec Boehm, where you have the entire fan base turn against him. Remember in that series against the Mets, right? A couple seasons ago where he said, I hate it here in Philly. He's getting rain on booze. Then they uplift him, and Alec Boehm has went on to be a pretty solid player since then for the Phillies in that infield. And Trey Turner, we know how talented he is, especially with guys that you know are talented. You know what to expect from them. Those are the ones that you have the utmost confidence to get out of their current slumps. That is what I feel about Lindor, and that's how I feel about a select few others too. But regardless, I think that's a good movement on the Lindor front, so we will soon find out. Gino, thank you for the kind words. I really appreciate that too, folks. But now let's break it down a little bit further. Again, Mets lineup today, as I mentioned, is the following: Brandon Nimmo, Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso, Brett Beatty, who's looked fantastic, who I cannot say enough great things about. I apologize on the lighting on my end too, folks, if it is not the best looking. Hopefully it isn't the worst thing to matter. Like I said, I know the video quality might be trash today, but at least the graphics and everything else should still be fine in the audio. Brett Beatty batting 4th, Starling Marte batting 5th, Tyrone Taylor 6th, Jeff McNeil 7th coming off of the home run game yesterday, Harrison Bader batting 8th, and Omar Narvaez batting 9th. I want nothing to do with Omar Narvaez. I want nothing to do with G.J. Stewart. I want little to do with Jeff until yesterday, and I still want Jeff to have better at-bats than what he had. I just hope that's a big monkey off his back that we saw with that home run to right yesterday, no doubt. These guys, the Narvaezes, the DJ Stewarts of the world, they provide nothing for me, personally. I mean, especially on the DJ Stewart front, I just don't see a world where he's on this roster once JDM is called up in a couple of days. But again, I digress. We'll soon see what happens on that front. Omar Narvaez, though, is a guy where if he's not helping offensively or truly, he's a net negative defensive player. He doesn't frame well. He doesn't block well. He lets pass balls get past him at a decent rate that we've seen. Offensively, I'd like to see something, or if you're going to be a net negative defensively, at least help make up for it on the offensive end. He has done anything but in limited sample sizes, albeit. Omar Narvaez, you're making $8 million this year. Can you please play to at least a $4 million level? The bar is very low, Omar. All you got to do is just reach up and grab it and give us some life offensively and defensively when you are playing. Again, we don't expect you to play much this year. We don't want you to play a lot this year. What we really want is to not have it be you playing a lot this year, but rather being Francisco Alvarez. But in the select few times that you are playing in those circumstances, that is where I hope that for your case especially, you can just show up and be the guy that we need you to be as just an average backstop. Again, nothing crazy, just need you to get the job done. That's pretty much it. So Omar Narvaez, I don't got much more I need to harp on that front. For the lineup overall, don't hate it. Don't love it either. I'm kind of neutral at the same time. I always want Alvarez in the lab, so it feels weird to not see him in there, but it is what it is. We'll move forward. So that's what we have for the lineups right now, everybody. And as we take a look at the pitching matchup, not going to run the highlights today because it's a little premature and I last minute set up on the road right now, but we got Luis Severino matching up against Nick Martinez. Look at their numbers, folks. Look at how eerily similar they are. What's up, Ricky? Happy to have you in the chat. Diamond Tails, appreciate the love, my man. I know you've been a long-time supporter of mine. I'm surprised I wasn't following you sooner. Made sure I did that one. And awesome to see Cohen interact with you. Trust me, when I had my first interactions with Cohen, I was like, it's hard not to be like, wow, just because it's surreal to have an owner that's willing to interact in the community to the extent that he has. So savor it, enjoy every second. It's an awesome feeling. And again, hopefully we see that standing no actually happen once the Mets are back home, which I don't think is until next weekend when they play the Royals, but I could be wrong on that front. I know they, of course, are going to be in Atlanta after this Red Series. But we got Luis Severino, who, of course, gave up a career-high 12 hits in his last start to kick off the season for the Mets against the Brewers. Thankfully, like half of his runs were taken off of his ERA because Zach Short's bobble became an error that was initially issued. I don't know why. It was a clear error by him. He has a 5.4 ERA, looking for a bounce-back outing. I'll just tell you right now, I am not expecting Luis Severino to carve up batters today. We're in a batter's park in Cincy. We're facing a young electric offense with the Reds. I'm expecting him to get barreled hard at times today. I'm just hoping that for the sake of Severino, he can give us, again, as I say for most guys, just 5 to 6 solid innings of hopefully 2 to 3 earned run ball. Keep them in the ball game. That's what I'm hoping for Sevy. If you give me anything better than those expectations, awesome. I will be a happy camper. Severino, who of course had at least 6 strikeouts in his last outing too, his first start of the year, really struggled with the breaking ball. He said that. Was really struggling to find command with that changeup especially. That's something that we need to make sure is fully there because that's why he went fastball heavy. That's why he got slapped around with so many hits that we saw against the Brewers. but with a 5.4 ERA, expected ERA 4.85, so a little bit bad luck on his side, which is why the expected numbers tell you what he can actually control, versus what we then see with Nick Martinez. Nick Martinez signed a multi-year deal with the Reds this offseason, coming over as kind of that swingman utilized in every situation imaginable, doing his best Trevor Williams impression there in San Diego with the Padres. Nick Martinez equally has a 5.4 ERA this season and expected ERA of 4.94. Martinez is just going to throw the kitchen sink at you. He's not overwhelming with his fastball or anything of that nature, but he's got a nice multi-pitch mix, and he works some quick outs too at times when he's at his best, can work those ground outs for you. Again, this is a Mets team that has been lifeless in a lot of ways on the offensive end. They're really trying to get themselves going. They haven't had one game so far this season where the weather has been nice either. That certainly hasn't helped. It's either been cold and frigid and heavily windy, or it's been rain outs and it's been just misty, just not fun environments, nor is it even fun to attend either. So for the people that go out of their way that have attended these games, I commend you, because one, it's tough to want to watch these Mets as things are currently looking with the first 7 games of the season heading down to game 8, but also the weather doesn't make it any fun either. Like if it's going to be rainy, at least let it be summer, where even though it's sticky, at least it's like there's a humidity, there's a warmth, so at least you're going to dry up, versus like what you're getting right now, you're going to be cold, frigid at the park. It's not fun. And these definitely factor into things with not only offensive production, pitching production, and the Mets currently, again, still killing it. They're right around second in baseball in team ERA, first in the National League. You got another fine start from Jose Quintana yesterday, who did what he needed to do. Again, really grinded out just under 6 innings, 5.2 innings of what we saw. 1 earned run ball, 4 walks, however, for Quintana. Again, we've seen a lot of walks against this Reds team in Cincy in recent years. Remember Kodai Senga, where he had one of those starts where he just couldn't command the zone at all. It's going to happen in Batters Park like that, especially against a young, exciting offense. So it's imperative for Luis Severino to hopefully get off to a quick start today. I would love to see him get a 1-2-3 first. Again, that might and probably will be wishful thinking. I'm not expecting the world from him. I just want to see Luis Severino be the guy we need him to be. Not expecting ace level, just need you to come out there and not single-handedly lose us the ball game. Keep us in the ball game. Hopefully we can get some early offense on Nick Martinez. Again, the Mets have had some success with Nick Martinez in the past when they faced him during their time in San Diego. And with this Mets team right now, I want to see Francisco Lindor, again, hopefully continue to get out of that slump. Brandon Nimmo, I love the walks, Brandon, but if you're not walking today, I would love to see you slap it for opposite field. Huge park, Batters Park there in Cincy. Take advantage while you're here. Pete Alonso, same applies, Pete. Again, we're in the second, if not the best Batters Park in Major League Baseball. Truthfully, there are times where Cincy is a better park to hit in than even Coors, and the numbers will actually back that if you look over the past couple years. It fluctuates which one is top, but the Reds are constantly a Batters Park. It is very easy to hit there, so the fact that the Mets, again, had to grind out 4 hits, 3 earned runs yesterday was frustrating. I want to see more offense. I want to see it early. Same thing goes for pretty much everyone in this lineup. And when you look at that 7, 8, 9, right now, that could be a glaring hole. Harrison Bader against righties, I don't love whatsoever. Even with this hit against Hunter Green yesterday, was late. It was in the dirt. Thankfully, it was going oppo, and there wasn't anyone in that immediate direction that got him to first. Omar Narvaez, just show some life, please. Don't be a lackadaisical at bat and 3 pitches and you're out of here. Jeff McNeil, grind out your at-bats, Jeff. Be the Jeff of old. We have not seen that yet this season. You barreled one yesterday, which was great, but you still do not look like the Jeff that we have loved and coveted when you've been at your peak with this team. Really need to see Jeff grind out at-bats, get on base at a good clip, because outside the home run, he has done nothing so far this season. Take advantage of the Batters Ballpark. I cannot say that enough. Pisses me off to no end when we see this Mets team not score enough when you're in Cincy, not score enough when you're in Coors, or when you do score, your pitching can't back you up. It's like it's one or the other. It's frustrating, but all in all, just want to see this Mets team hopefully get themselves a series victory today. Luis Severino, give me 5-6, 2-3 earned run ball. Nick Martinez, beat up on him early, get to that bullpen. If Alexis Diaz does come in for the Reds today, try to beat up on him. It would be awesome for that to blow up, and Edwin looking like the better man between the two, even though I do love Alexis, just not if he shows shows up this series. Eric Thorpe, thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate that. Really appreciate the kind words to CP. Thank you so much. It means a lot. And everybody too, as I've said already, before we get into my picks, my favorite plays of the day with our amazing sponsor, BetUS, make sure that if you want to get in on your betting action too by clicking the link down below, that way you too get 125% bonus with your first 3 deposits for all your sports betting needs. But again, if you want to get in on the Mets right now, yes, folks, I do like the Mets today. Honestly, the full bias would make me want to hammer the money line at plus 110 because they're the underdog. But for the sake of wanting to be conservative, I say throw them in a parlay at the spread at plus 1.5 with a minus 190. So what that means is the Mets need to win outright or make sure that they don't lose by more than a certain amount of runs, or at least by. That's why they're at 1.5 there. So minus 190 odds. Naturally, if you put down 190, that hits. You get an additional 100 to work with. I wouldn't want to do that bet outright unless you're really throwing big bucks comfortably. I would say I would pair that with a 2 or 3 leg parlay that I'll break down here with you all shortly. Eric, thank you for the donation, though. Eric says, keep it coming, Wardy. Can't wait until DJ Stewart is gone. Dude is the second coming of Darren Ruff, playing like he's got a Dookie in his sliding shorts. See here, and this is why I told you, everybody, if you guys saw my video in the offseason on 5 Mets who won't return this season, I had DJ Stewart in that video, even with the minor league option, because one, the minor league option makes it make more sense to want him to be down to start the year. But given the status of the club, the Mets literally just said, you know what, we'll keep you here. We don't really have anyone that we need to replace you at this point in time, and we know that we don't want to have you in a limited sample size, which would be the case for Vientos if he was up with the team, or could hurt his development. We'd rather him play every day in the hot corner down there and get some reps at DH. So DJ will have you start the year with us. He hit 10 bombs last year. But truthfully, and I'll say it again, folks, even if DJ Stewart has protection, even if DJ Stewart provides offense at any point this year, I do not think it'll be consistent enough to warrant him to be in this lineup. Again, what we saw last year was a flash in the pan, a Barry Bonds moment in, 20, 30 games, or whatever it was. Great moment, great story. No expectations, no pressure on his shoulders whatsoever. Literally, he was called up when there were other minor leaguers that were performing better at that time because of his relationship with Buck Showalter during their time in Baltimore. And secondly, giving a leash to a guy where you really have nothing to lose at that point in the season when you know you're not making playoffs and you're just trying to get a feel for what you want your roster to be for 2024 and beyond. That's why DJ got his reps. He took advantage of the opportunity. Since then, he has done nothing. He's looked lifeless. He's looked like a shell of himself from spring training now carrying over into the season. He's so behind on these pitches that he takes. It's great when he can get a walk every now and then that we saw yesterday, but outside of that, there has been nothing. I mean, we're still waiting for DJ Stewart to provide any semblance of offense. Thankfully, again, especially, even against, in Martinez today, lefty and righty, they still do not want him starting. They're going to offer Brandon Nimmo in the DH spot, take the work off his legs today as he was dealing with that hamstring injury from that cold, frigid day at Citi Field in the doubleheader, which, again, you got to be a sicko to be there. So you got to be my buddy Dan, you got to be my cousin Blaze, and you got to be some other people too, including some of you guys that probably maybe attended the games too. Jay, my man, happy to have you in here, Jean. As always, the absolute beauty. Hope you're doing well, and I hope you have a fantastic weekend, my friend. Eric, let's see. Same goes for Narvaez. 100%, Eric. 100%. No denying that whatsoever, everybody. So that's what we have with the laps. Pitching matchup today. My question to all of you is, when you look at Nick Martinez, when you look at Luis Severino, before we get into my plays of the day here, I got to ask, which pitching matchup do you like better? Like, who do you think is going to perform better today? Luis Severino or Nick Martinez? Let me know in the chat right now. Just given the fact of we're in a batter's park, I don't know what to expect from this Mets offense still. I'm actually going to lean Nick Martinez, and this is not to try to pull a reverse psychology, even though I hope it happens where that's the case and he gets his tits slit early. I actually think Nick Martinez might have the better start between the two. Mets have had their fair struggles with guys, too, that aren't like full-time starters, swingmen. They just don't take advantage of these kind of opportunities at all. They have yet to prove to me that they can. So Martinez, while he's in a bad pitcher by a stretch, is definitely a hittable one. That's why, again, he has the stat line that he has to start the season for the Reds. Still, though, I'm going to give a slight edge to Nick Martinez because I need Luis Severino to prove to us today that one, he's not going to tip his pitches, and two, he's going to actually have a breaking ball. Two things he really didn't have going in his favor in his first start. I hope we can see a change up to this point. But yeah, personally, I'm going to give it a slight edge to Nick Martinez just because I have no clue what to expect from Sevy. But regardless on how you feel, if you're in favor of Severino, if you're in favor of Nick Martinez, let me know, everybody in the live chat here on YouTube. People that are watching on Twitter, same applies. Really does mean a lot. And again, happy to have you all in here taking the time to break down the game with me as we take a look at the Metropolitans as a matchup and hopefully get their first series win of the year against, yes, the Cincinnati Reds. And one more thing I'd like to say before I get on to my picks of the day, what I like most personally, I do just have to let you all know, with the Mets, with a 2-5 start the way that they've had, I really want to emphasize just how long of a season is. That's why you're not going to see me, say wanting everyone fired after, a horrendous start. That's why you're not going to see me get too overly dramatic, but being irrational in irrational moments while having a rational viewpoint on the season as a whole. I think it's important to differentiate the two, as I've been saying with you all pretty much on a day-by-day basis here. But I just got to be serious with you all for a second. This Mets team is going to go through so much this year. They're going to have awesome highs, and they're going to have some absolutely brutal lows. So just understand that while things have certainly not been a great start to the year, it's all about how you finish, right? It's all about how the course of the 162 goes. And that's why we're going to have a lot of people in the comments today and the days going forward that are speaking in certain manners are going to completely switch up and flip should the Mets start to get on a roll, should they get on some key winning streaks this season. So just know that while it is a lot of the times doom and gloom in Mets land, we feed off of pessimism, unfortunately, at times, whether we like it or not. Know that we have a very long and lengthy season ahead. We have a long, lengthy season of pregame, watch party, and postgame production here on the channel and everything in between. So strap in, make sure you're along for the ride, and just try to stay as even-keeled as you possibly can. Because as someone who truthfully will be a hypocrite, will have my moments where it's very hard for me to be even-keeled, I have to remind myself that at the end of the day, it's a 162, and we have so much still to be had here. We're all freaking out, after the 0-5 start, or 0-4 start, whichever one it was, when we don't even have JD Martinez in this lineup yet. JD might have went 0 for 4 yesterday, which I truthfully don't care about. I cannot wait to see him hopefully get his first start in this lineup against the Atlanta Braves either Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday of this upcoming week, whatever it may be. But yeah, just know we're going to go through a lot together. So brace yourselves is the big thing, because I'm already seeing a lot of fans jumping off a clip or, already saying I'm done following the team. To each their own. Everyone can make their own decisions. That's fine. I understand that. But all I will say is that don't be the fan to be like, all right, I'm not going to care now. But as soon as they start to get on a roll, you're going to care. Just don't be that. Don't be that fair weather fan. Even if you don't like it, be along for the ride in the highs and the lows. I was there last year too. I didn't do as much post-game coverage as I wanted down the stretch because the Mets were putrid, and there was valid reason for that because I would just be repeating myself so often every day. But it didn't change the fact that I was still staying in tune on the day-by-day and making sure what's happening. So that's what I'll leave you with. I just love to share that kind of stuff because we have a lot of fans that I feel like forget how many games we have in a regular season and just how lengthy of a year this is going to be for us as fellow fans. So that's what I'll leave you with on that front, everybody. Most of us have been through it all. Exactly. Yeah, don't be that guy, fellas. 100%. That's all I got to say on that front. But now let's talk about my picks of the day, because I'm not just saying this because we have BetUS as our amazing sponsor here for my fellow sports bettors. Again, get in on the action with me. Greatly appreciate that, because you guys and gals going out of your way to either tail the parlays I show or just getting in on any type of sports betting with BetUS by clicking the link down below helps out the channel tremendously, and that helps us again operate the way that we have so far this season. And thank you all so much in advance for the endless support here. But here's what I got, folks. The lines may have slightly changed since I made the graphic over the past hour. Nothing drastic though. For my Wardy's 3-pick parlay of the day, yes, we're going back with the Mets. Yes, the bias is probably stupid on my end. Yes, the Mets may very well lose today, and we look for the series dub tomorrow. Regardless, I love the Mets run line today, +1.5, -190, but I do not love it by itself. Pair it with a 2 or 3 leg parlay is what I would say. Again, just boost your odds and makes it better that way. Because again, if you're just throwing $50 on Mets run line at -190, you don't get much of a turnout. If you throw 50 on a 2 or 3 leg parlay, bigger turnout. Not saying you should throw that much. Again, you do whatever you want to do. I'm just telling you what my picks of the day are and why I like them. Mets run line today. Why do I like it so much? Batters Park, you won 2 straight. You're looking for your first series win of the year. You're facing a very beatable pitcher today, as long as you just show the willingness and interest to actually do such a thing. I like the Mets here in Cincy in this matchup. Even with a lot of question marks surrounding Severino, I still like them to hit the run line to, again, either win outright or lose by a certain amount of runs. Phillies money line we have here, minus 185 odds in DC against the Nationals. I like this a lot for Philly today. We got Ranger Suarez on the bump there for the Phillies against Irvin. For the Nationals, it'll be an interesting matchup. Suarez didn't have a great first start. He isn't the ace in that rotation by any stretch, but he's still a very serviceable mid-rotation guy for them. And against a lesser Nats team, lefties as well, I think about, I can't imagine there would be a lot of instances where they'll be in there, but Jesse Winker, Joey Gallo, guys that we know are huge swing and miss. If any of them are in the lineup today against Ranger Suarez, lefty on lefty, need I say more? I love the matchup for the Phillies batters too. You got Bryce there. You, of course, got Schwartz. You got all the key pieces that they got going, and when they're hot, they're absolutely hot. They get up early and often. A lesser Nats team, while CJ Abrams, might look great, while Keibert Ruiz might have a nice game there too, should get the start at the backstop. I like the Phillies here at the money line, minus 185 on the odds there. That is my favorite pick of the day out of the 3. And then the final one, I'm going against the Atlanta Braves here slightly. I like the Diamondbacks run line today, folks. I really do. We got Max Fried against Fott, if that's how you say his last name. I always forget how I butchered it. It's like Pfaadt. It makes no sense to me. That's my fault. Looked impressive in playoffs last year. Had himself a nice first start of the year. D-backs won yesterday that we saw against the Braves. Spencer Strider is getting an MRI. I will say this, no matter how much I despise Spencer Strider, he's one of the best in the game. I do not wish injury on anyone. I hope it's not too serious on his front. I don't believe we've heard anything yet. Shane Bieber's out for the year already with a Tommy John, which is ridiculous, and a walk year no less. So now you have to completely reevaluate the starting pitching market next offseason. That sucks. Yuri Perez, the young stud in Miami's out for the year. So many guys are dropping like flies early, and it's heartbreaking to see. And I don't wish that for any of these great young talents. I wish them all speedy recoveries. But man, oh man, does that suck. And that is exactly why the pitch clock, this is where we're going to have ourselves a problem. Not only with guys throwing absolute gas and, releasing the tank early, but especially when you have to work quick counts the way that they do, there's no proper time to really get adjusted, have full breathers. Yeah, injuries are going to be a constant reoccurrence like this, especially with guys that throw hard in the Spencer Striders of the world. And a Shane Bieber, who was throwing hard early on this season that we saw upticks from last year, looking great, striking out everyone and their mother. And then we find out he's out for the season. Brutal stuff. But the Diamondbacks, I like them run line today. Again, the Diamondbacks do not need to win the ball game. They could either win outright or just make sure that they don't lose by more than a certain amount of runs. That's all it needs to be. It's that simple. So Diamondbacks, Phillies, Mets, 2 run lines, 1 money line. Love those for my 3-pick parlay of the day. Hope you guys and gals get in on the action too. Let me know if you end up tailing. And sorry in advance, because we've been very Jekyll and Hyde with how we've done with our bets so far this season, just because it's a huge toss-up early on this season. Even when the matchups are right, even when it makes sense, there's been so many instances where it's went the other way. It's went against the betting favorite, which is exactly why I pretty much haven't bet on the Mets outside of 1 game so far this year up until today, because I have not liked the Mets as a favorite whatsoever. But as an underdog, especially run line, yeah, I'm not opposed to that whatsoever. I'm really not. So that's what I have for my picks of the day today. Straight talk with Jack Graham. No, you're the man. Happy to have you in here, brother. Great member. Really does mean a lot. Let's see in here. Dave says, it's okay. Are you just talking about the bets in particular? Let me know. Am I streaming the game? Not streaming the game. I will be doing post-game coverage today, more than likely, though, as long as we don't have any Wi-Fi connections. Major editing. How you doing? Happy to have you in here. Really does mean a lot. Geraldo, thank you so much for being in here, too. Really does mean a lot. LFGM, get ahead early. Absolutely. What happened to the shortstop for Boston last night? Oh, Trevor Story, folks. I don't know the update on Trevor right now, but instead of sliding for a ball, he just kind of stopped right away. His shoulder rolled. That looked bad. I mean, that right away reminded me of a potentially torn labrum. Not that I wish it. Trevor Story just got back from a lengthy injury over the past year and a half. Sucks to see him get hurt like that. I hope it's nothing too serious, but what we saw yesterday was not fun. David, you're new to sports betting. Okay, my friend. So again, if you want to get in on the action, Click the link down below I have in the description. If you sign up and deposit at least $100, you get a 125% bonus with your first 3 deposits. So what that means again is if you deposit $100, you automatically will then get $225 to work with after that bet. If you deposit $500, then you're going to get over $1,000 easy to work with. And then when you want to place your bets, again, of course, folks, bet responsibly. Do not do anything that you're not comfortable doing, and make sure that you're smart. I personally, not that you guys should be going out of your way to come for me for betting advice, but I personally am not a fan of doing, pretty much anything past a 4-leg parlay. I don't love, just because the odds really are not in your favor at all. That's why if you put down 10, it's say we'll win 150, because again, your odds aren't great for all those things to hit. So what I recommend for my early sports bettors that are just trying to get in on these things, using BetUS especially, is just look for simple games, what you like the most. Money line just means who's going to win outright. So again, if say a money line for Mets right now is plus 110, what those odds mean is if the Mets win the game and you deposit, say, $110, you come out with $210. So you're going to get an additional $100, right? So just for an example, again, spread, it's different. Spread for the Mets, considering they're the underdog today, all they need to do is either win outright or make sure that they lose by it's a certain amount of runs. Right now that they are currently at plus 1.5. So there you go. So just to kind of give you an understanding and a simple feel of everything. Nate, Alvarez needs to play. I agree Alvarez needs to play, but Alvarez purposely isn't starting today so he can start tomorrow against the Southpaw, which makes a lot of sense. Alvarez, who didn't do well against lefties last year, we saw him absolutely rake so far this season. I love what I've seen thus far in the limited sample sizes, and he's not going to play every single day as much as we'd like him to, and as much as he should play most days. This is one of the few days that he will have off, so just hopefully the Mets again can get the job done without him in the starting lineup, and if they need to call upon him to be in that position to provide offense as a pinch hitter, then so be it. But everybody, that is going to do it for the live show. The Mets game is about to start right now, so make sure to smash that like and subscribe button on your way out. People that watch on Twitter, hit that like, follow button, retweet. Really does mean a lot. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned. We should be coming at you with post-game coverage, barring any changes right now, so be on the lookout after the conclusion of today's game, hopefully after a series victory. But until then, have a great rest of your night, day, evening. Whenever you're watching this, this is your boy Wardy signing out. Let's go Mets.